Good morning. I'm interviewing Oliver Gonzalez Jimenez. He is currently enrolled in Mesa College. So, Oliver, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your major?
My major is kinesiology. Right now at the moment I'm doing a fitness specialist program, so like dealing with programming, designing of exercise programs for various different people, special pops and stuff like that.
Do you work?
Yeah, right now I work at a fast food place or like a restaurant, and then I do network marketing, like a multi-level company, and then I come to school and clean houses on some days. So.
Okay, you have full schedule.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 32 at the moment.
And what is your place of birth?
Mexico, Guerrero. But that's pretty much all I know. So
How did your family come to the United States? How old were you when you came to the United States?
That they've told me 8 months. So how they came in, all I know is that they came in through the San Ysidro border, or through the
So you think your family have papers?
Oh no, they came. They already went through their process to get their citizenship, residency, and they obviously legally came to the country.
So how did you learn about DACA?
I was in New York when they passed the bill, so I was basically everybody knew. But through the news and stuff like that, on I think June 15th, so it's 2011. No, I think 2012 or 11 was, and it was like this big thing. So it's like it's kind of like it was an eye opener, because being Mexican and not having a lot of opportunities given to you because you didn't have DACA, you only kind of thought about it just Mexicans. And when it came down, and in New York, it helps a lot of people. So they were running various workshops for various people for DACA and applying to DACA or for DACA. And it opened my eyes, because it wasn't just Mexicans. In New York, you went to a workshop and you saw hundreds of different ethnicities, Asians, Africans, Ethiopians, and it's just a very broad aspect of like who benefited from DACA, how many people actually did. So yeah, I was in New York when I found out.
And how was the process of filing the papers and finding a lawyer? Easy, hard?
Finding in New York, I didn't apply in New York. I applied when I got back to San Diego, and I basically got all my paperwork together, but all my paperwork was here in San Diego at my parents' house. So I decided to come back and basically put it together, and I found a lawyer who basically did the whole transaction. But it was through a person that I had met here, and she referred me to this lawyer, and he got stuff going. But he first got, because I already had a status, but I didn't have my visa or any other permits that came with it. So I could have been deported, but not that easy, because I had a certain status, because my dad was a citizen and my mom was a resident. But DACA was the one that got me the permit and the license and whatnot. So it's kind of confusing, but it's not really, because at the end, DACA was the one that kind of locked me in here with the permit for work and the ability to come back to school and not have to pay the whole thing, so.
Okay, so it was beneficial for you. Was it expensive? A lot of people think DACA is free, like applying.
No, DACA it depends, because for somebody who is not going to school and is just working, it could be expensive, because I think everybody needs to put a value to what they're getting. And I think if you weigh out the cons and the pros or whatever, money, if you weigh in money and you don't weigh anything else, it's going to be expensive. But if you weigh the fact that you are less scared to drive, or less scared to, be more, what's the word?
You can,
sure
you
of
can
yourself.
say in Spanish.
No, well, you can be sure of yourself of applying to a job without the fear of giving a fake social. You know what I mean? And then it's not expensive at all, because you've been living your life in fear of giving, a social that's, I'm gonna say it because it's, it happens. Just that's the way of life. That's how you survive. You do what you have to. You can't just go on the streets and ask for money from people who aren't. You know what I mean? From people who are actually working. And I think that when you weigh in money, it's not expensive. If you have the ability, and especially if DACA is for people who grew up here. This is their home. This is what they know. Like, there's no other home. And I think I have very contradicting concepts, because to me the U.S. is my home. And Mexico is just a place. It's kind of like when you're like a person who's adopted. They consider the parents that raised them, not the parents who gave birth. Yeah. Kind of thing, so.
Yes, I understand. So, talk about your experiences as a student when you were growing up, being undocumented, anecdotes, whatever you remember.
That was really hard, because my parents were very unorthodox. Like, no eran como los otros papás, but I don't know how other parents were. My dad didn't tell me I was not a citizen till I was 15. So when you grow up with a concept that you're like everybody else in your class, and kindergarten, first grade, third grade, second grade, you grow up believing that you were going to believing everything they tell you. Oh, if you can do whatever you want, you don't know about countries. It's just, if you want to do it, if you want to be a doctor, you go to school and you be a doctor. And if you want to get a job at certain so-and-so, you do this and this and this, and then you'll get a job. There's no obstacles. There's nobody that was telling you, like, oh, if you're not a citizen, by the way, you can't apply. You're not like your friend. And I didn't know that until I was 15.
And how do you break it to you? How do you find out?
How did I find out? Well, I was in sports. I was a swimmer. So like I told you, my parents were, so my dad basically gave us, with his hard work, because at the beginning he was working one job, but then he worked two. But he always had us in karate. Well, at least for me, which is karate, soccer, recreationals in the community. My sister went to ballet. He bought a piano for us, so it was like, I don't know. It was different than what I saw my cousins go through it, and so when I was in swimming since I was 3 years old. So we went through the classes. We were in swim team. We were part of the community pool, and that's where I got into swimming, lifeguarding. So I tried out to get a job for lifeguarding, and at the time I think it was 90 somethings, and so when I applied, I actually got the job. It wasn't until we were downtown San Diego where I knew what pool I was going to, what pool hired me, and all I needed was to present I didn't understand what they wanted. They wanted the Social Security, a card, and then your ID. And like, like, yeah, foreign ID. Which I had no clue what it was. I was like, oh, yeah, Dad, I need this and this. And they're going to take my fingerprints and blah, blah, blah. My dad already knew. But my dad didn't tell me anything. Because I think in his mind, he said, well, if he had a taxpayer ID for me, like, para hacer taxes and stuff like that. And so he gave me that. So I thought that's what I needed. And when I gave this, and I remember because I had issues about the whole thing. I think if we were, si fuéramos blancos, me metieran en psicólogo, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, but we didn't. I had to deal with it on my own. And so, so I gave this lady that.
The tin number.
Yeah, the tin. Yeah, see, you know, and I didn't know. I know. But I remember the lady, she has blonde hair, blue eyes, glasses, you know, like mid-30s maybe. And she was like, this is not what we need. I was like, well, that's what I have. And, you know, I called and they said that the high school or the school ID was fine. He's like, well, we don't accept this anymore. She was super rude. And I didn't understand what was going on. For the life of me, I was like, I kind of looked at my dad. I was like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. Like, this is like, era como un cortocircuito que estaba pasando en mi brain that was like, this doesn't make sense. And that's when my dad, and I think, I don't know how personal you want this, you know, but it was just one of those thoughts because I was like, don't cry. Because I went back and I was like, they said no, I couldn't go in the fingerprints. I was like, well, what do I do? I already got hired in the post. Like, well, you can't get hired. Not through the San Diego County or any county on that note. And for me, it was just like a mind, and then it was just like, you know, like something you feel like, I don't know, like something that just didn't go. Like something that, like when you get your heart broken. You know what I mean? Like that sense of, not only is it in your brain, but you're feeling it right in your chest where it's like, what did I do wrong kind of thing. And I went we walked to the elevator and I was like, you know, and I've always thought of myself as really strong and very positive. So when I got to the elevator, I was just like holding it. And because nothing made sense, it got, I think I've told this various people that at 15, my world got upside down. Because my dad, he had a Chevy truck. And he sat there, and we sat in the car, and he just kind of let me soak it in. But in my mind, it was all negative thoughts. It wasn't like, no estaba ahí. Like, I remember looking at the sky and it was blue and like a bunch of clouds. But I thought, you know, like, as soon as he starts driving, I'm opening the store on the highway. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, because that's when I understood that it wasn't gonna be easy. It wasn't gonna be like my friends. And I saw my friends, and I know like there's a lot of people que dice, oh, pues no es fácil para ellos tampoco. But it's like they don't work hard at it. And now, you know, it's like they had the ability to work anywhere, like decent pay, and they were working at Chuck E. Cheese. You know, like, and it was kind of like como una envidia, but an unknown, like, sin saberlo, era una envidia sin saber. ¿Sí me entiendes? Como que, like, that they were able to work anywhere. And I had the opportunity to work somewhere that was kind of legit with the county, you know, and I couldn't because of 7 or whatever numbers, you know, and so that's kind of how I found out. And you know, I tried again. There was various opportunities that I had that I opened myself up because of my parents and how they raised us. And so I kept continuing. I continued with the swimming and school and stuff. And then after a while, I shook it off. And we kept going to, we found out about a program for the beach. It's called the Junior Lifeguards. And it turns out that I was actually good at it. Both years I was honor cadet, so it's like the top elite of the students and stuff like that. It was under 17 years old. So the cadets were basically, they were ranged into segments of like 7 to 10, 12 to 13, 13 to 15 or 17, and then they chose the best swimmers, the best people of leadership and stuff like that to be cadets, and those are the ones that would help. Of course, they learned a lot more, but also they would help with other people, like other kids, and you kind of experienced your leadership, you know what I mean, and they put a little bit more respect in this group of like 10 out of like, I don't know, 20 or 30 other 15 to 17 year olds. And I think I could have won two years honor cadet, and I only won it once. But after that once, they actually wanted me to internship, which came again. The lieutenant back then, or sergeant, had other people that wanted to back me up to get hired for the county of San Diego for the beaches, because he said on one of our races, I actually running, it wasn't my best, corriendo no era mi mejor, but swimming I caught up to their instructor swimming wise, and it was open ocean swimming, so it's kind of like hard to catch up to somebody that hard, and with the waves and everything. But yeah, they wanted to they wanted to give me a scholarship for all my stuff, my suits, fins, everything that books and stuff like that at Miramar, and they wanted to hire me. So I did the test, which is at the bay at like 6 a.m. in the middle of October, so the water was freezing, like it was pretty bad. And it was I got in second with a time of, I think, 7 or 8 minutes for I want to say like a 500 meter swim.
Very fast.
In the morning it was pretty hard, but it was, and back then you were able to go to the interview right after that test, after everybody tested. But again, they wouldn't even allow me to go to the interview without my social. So I called the sergeant, and I was like, look, he's like, just go, do the thing. And if they see you're a great swimmer, and I'm gonna, he was calling everybody up top. And it wasn't until later years where I think I was already going into my 30s that I called him up just to say hello. And he was actually super nice. He knew my case. And then one time I just went to visit him, and he's like, well, how much do you need for your to pay for your lawyers? And I was like, well, it's about this, and I'm trying to work hard for it, and my parents are this and this. Is like, he busted out his checkbook and wrote like a $35 like donation to my. I never cashed it because I think it meant more to me that que me lo ofreció out of like he wanted for me to get there. I think that was, I don't know, that was one of those things that's like, the value was on the el valor estaba en su consideración de que me lo dio, no en el dinero que me dio.
So you have encountered two types of people, like the one that wouldn't even give you a chance to explain or to look, and then the one that also it's willing to give you a hand and support you. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is nice. So do you know what your family used to do in Mexico before coming to the United States?
No, I don't think, they don't really talk. Actually, my dad was at one point he was a truck driver for Coke or Sabritas or something like that. But he did encounter a lot, less than now, I think, pero como assaults. Mm-hmm. So I think I don't know, they don't really talk about it, but all I know is that he did that. And then my mom was always a hard worker. She's always helped her mom and her family. They would sell, like, my mom es esas personas que tiene carisma y tiene la habilidad de vender las cosas como pan caliente, como le dicen. Tiene esa habilidad she has a business persona. Mm-hmm. Ella sale de donde la pongas, sale, porque sale. you know what I mean, de las luchonas, de las strong-minded. Tienen un strong character, but I think that comes from they grew up, or, you know, the environment and everything else. And I think I admire my mom, and, you know, and my dad is like the sweetest person who was like, veniendo de un sexto grado, tiene la mentalidad de un gran filósofo, como que se sienta y habla contigo, pero te escucha, y tiene un modo con la gente que cuando lo conocen, aunque no hable mucho, le dan la confianza de consejero. It's like very, I don't know, he's been my teacher, he's been my confidant, he's been my best friend, and my mom has been like the sturdy hand that, so it's like, I don't know. So they, regardless of where they come from, where they came from makes them who they are now. It's just like, I don't know. They've always been survivors in the best form. They don't like to step on people, you know, to get wherever they want.
Do you know the reason why they decided to come to the United States?
I don't, because even they don't usually talk about it. But I mean, I think who doesn't come here with the mindset of just being better, you know? So, and I think the more that I've heard people that want to come here, and like my parents and a lot of other parents' situations, is that their belief is they're gonna go back. And I think a lot of people come with the mindset of like, oh, vamos a hacer tal dinero, and then we're gonna come back, because that's what they believe. And I think they se lo creen tanto. Sí se creen que ellos van a regresar. Pero lo que pasa es que a veces te olvidas de dónde, like where your goal was. And very few people actually go back. You know, so, yeah.
So, during his campaign, Donald Trump said that on his first day in office, he would end the DACA program. And on November 9, it was announced that he had won the election. So what were your feelings that day?
Well, I don't know. I think the thought of it, I thought that it was going to take a lot more for him to just shut it down. He was going to have to go through a lot. So I think I try to stay in the positive mind that just because he got elected didn't mean necessarily that it was going to be done. And I wasn't one of those people that freaked out. I know my family freaked out. I know that my friends freaked out about it. But I think maybe I didn't freak out so much because I had already had previous, like, not as status, but like I said, I'm already in a process of another point of getting like another visa. So like right now I think they're in 1990 somethings for people, you know, like people get a status, but then they if they're already here, they can wait here till their number comes out. And mine at the time, I think 2004, they said it'd be 2018. And when my visa came, it went up. But I think, I don't know what it was. I was very it's very contradicting. I don't think I was that scared, but it was a possibility that I think, I don't know. It's a very strong question because I want to think that regardless of a lot of people put emphasis on who's in office, but I think when you're gonna succeed with the time that you're given to prove, you know, that you are worth being here, kind of thing. But I know that a lot of things can go wrong from experience, so it's kind of it was scary after.
So it sounds like you have kind of like a backup plan if the program did indeed got canceled. You are still working on something else to get a different status. So what if it came to the point that you are deported, going back to is that an option, going back to Mexico, staying there?
But that's not an option. I think no. Yeah. That, I don't know where that would lead up or how it ends, but it's not ending with me leaving the country. I think I would actually fight it, and I would gather the people that I know and that know me, and which are, I keep in contact with now. It's the lieutenant and stuff like that, and some of the teachers here, professors that I think know, trainers that I've trained with, people who would actually vouch for me. Because I think in life you can't just, like everything that you do, I think even if you fail, it's one of the lessons that I'm learning, that when you fail, they're not like failures, they're like just modes of learning and experience. But I think within your journey, you can either make contacts and friends and people who are gonna be there for you, or you can make bad friends and bad reps. So it's I think I follow the path that hice contactos that can help me, at least to state my case that I'm not. I'm from here. It's, I don't know if it's. I know I was kind of bullied in school because they always, I had always had more American friends, or, I did a white sport rather than soccer or stuff like that. So it was just that bullying part. I was just like, but I don't know. That for me is not an option. I would definitely fight it or file for a different, as a refuge, because I told you, right? I'm transgender. Mm-hmm. So it's I don't know what that lifestyle is. If they made me go back, wherever the pueblo is that my parents came from, I don't know what the status is of gay, or gay, the LGBT in there, and the fear of that too. It's like, and they wouldn't consider me Mexican. They would, but to be honest, I think they'd be like, oh, pues. They'd be racist against me, or they would definitely discriminate, and I think I know that because one of my best friends' dad goes out there and he's like, if they hear you speak English, they're pretty much gonna say you're white, I don't know how true that is, but they think that it's not a likable thing, and he says, and he's like, he's funny because he said, look, tú te ves con el nopal en la frente, but if you speak English over there, they definitely don't, I don't know if they don't agree or they don't whatever, but they definitely don't like you. Like, I don't know how true that is, but since I've never been there, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's another issue that I know that with under the DACA program, you are only allowed to travel outside of the United States if it's on educational purposes or religious or maybe some sort of helping another. So do you feel free?
Well, it's not to another country. I think it's DACA is for in the country, so you can fly anywhere. I know they have a visa to go outside the country, but it's only for a purpose of an emergency of a grandparent you haven't seen or is dying or something like that. But right now it's super questionable with Trump online, and I would have done it with Obama, but not with Trump. And the reason, that's where it gets pricey, because actually the price for the permit to go outside the country is like $600 or $700 for, I think, just filing. And I think, and it depends what kind of lawyer you go to. I trust my lawyer, so I would have paid that, but I couldn't prove that my grandparents were sick or anything like that. So it defeated the emergency purpose. And also, it is a good one because when you go out, and if you came illegally or they brought you illegally, going out with that permit and coming back in, it invalidates your entrance of illegal. It actually makes you legally came in here. So then you could apply for, like, if DACA was done, you could apply for your, for a visa, and your status wouldn't be illegal anymore. It'd be you legally entered the country. So it makes that easier, or not easier, but just way better that it says legally enter the country than illegally enter the country. It's better outcome for you if it says legally enter, and that's what the permit for that visa to exit the country.
And so what is the expected outcome that you have in your mind about being part of the DACA program? Like, you enrolled it in hopes to, like, just like a final thought, just wrap it all up.
What do you mean?
Like, what is your benefit? What do you expect to get from being enrolled in DACA? Because I know you have to renew every 2 years.
Yeah. I think my personal thing, or just in general?
In general.
I think, well, in general, I can't speak for everybody else, but I think it's a decent way to make sure that you plant your feet. It was an option to work and go to school, but I think if you're trying to make it, I think with 2 years, it takes, I think, 2 years to get an associate's, like through Mesa, through any community college, to prove yourself that you moved because of DACA from where you started to the 2 years at the end. If you didn't have an education, or you needed to finish high school at the beginning of DACA, and you went your 2 years and you can show that you got your GED while working, I think that proves that it helped, you benefited out of that. You know what I mean? That you used it for the advantage of not just making money or just working, and it doesn't have to necessarily be school. It could be any, multi-level that you work for that allowed you to work at your job legally, and the fact that, you made yourself better in those 2 years, or that you were able to, without the fear of being caught or whatnot, you could drive safely and do your business. I think that's beneficial to that person. But for me, it just gave me the chance to come back to school, and the whole deal about paying the classes, I think that's where it was beneficial for me, because I didn't get financial aid. But the fact that they pay for my school is that nice. I'm able to pay for my books and actually not worry about the cost, of enrolling, because it's high. It's like, close to, like, I think $900 or more per semester, and when you work full times and you have to split yourself in 3 different positions or 3 different places, I think it's really hard to get the money for books and the time for the studying, and and this is like a nice help.
So you said your heart got broken when you found out that you didn't have any legal documentation. Do you think DACA helped patch up a little bit?
Like a
Band-Aid?
Like a closure of an ex-girlfriend? No. I think DACA is just it's a blessing, but it's not what we're looking for. I feel like some politicians have it right and some politicians don't. And I think politicians, right now, I think, of what I heard, a lot of Republicans and a lot of conservatives want to pass DACA, because if they just shoot us back to Mexico, if they attempt to, they wasted a lot of money in educating us, from the K to 12. And a lot of people say, we already spend money in educating them through the public system. Why would we send all of them back? But I think politicians on this side, like right now, this would be the solution. And you can fight on paying the wall later. But I think politicians also like are and I don't know if it's just politicians or people who don't wanna agree to pay for a wall that's not. If you think about it, how long is it gonna take to build that wall? How long do we have till that wall's up to be able to fight it? They could build half the wall, and if we win in the form of like this wall is not gonna be built, in his whole term. So we could always knock the wall down. But if we don't lock a certain thing in, it's going to be a loose. You know what I mean? It's going to be a loose for all the people who are here, and we're going to have to start all over. I think a lot of people, es como apostarle algo y es como greedy. Like if you say, in every show, he says, te ganaste $10,000. ¿Quieres los $10,000? ¿O quieres apostarle otra vez para agarrarte 100,000?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And people, that's where people get greedy. Where it's like, you didn't have $10,000, but you have them now. And you can get those $10,000, invest in some little company and make it maybe to $100,000. Entonces ahorita yo siento que con eso del DACA, I think they should pass the bill because a lot of conservatives are willing to say, you know what, this is going to be, they don't want to call it amnesty, but they say people who are under DACA would get citizenship or would get residency. That could lead up to citizenship. Wouldn't you be better off having these people who are already here, who already have DACA, not miss out on the opportunity to be that? And if y los que están diciendo no, es esto o nada, o es todo o nada. Which one's better, to have something or to lose everything? At least for my perspective, because people who come here and they get to go back, no les importa, pero son los que más opinan. ¿Sí me entiendes? Como que, no, y si nos ponemos a ver todos los que quieren, lo que están diciendo, no, danos, something else for DACA, and we're not paying for the wall, or the people who aren't scared to be, because they have nothing to lose. They have their citizenship, they have their residency. People who are on top fighting are the ones who can fight, but they're the ones who are deciding what we can take. ¿Sí me entiendes? How does that make sense? And I think a veces que no hacemos el research and that we follow these people that we think they have the best interest in their hands. But they're not the ones who are going to lose if we lose everything. ¿Sí me entiendes? Entonces, yo siento que a veces tenemos que dar poquito y ver dónde laquear eso y después averiguar cómo peleamos lo otro. Because I think it would be a win for us to not be scared, to have to, and I don't think they should fight for something more, like something similar to DACA. I think they should fight for something better than DACA, because DACA is only it's only a Band-Aid. It was only meant for, hey, let's see how this works kind of thing. ¿Sí me entiendes? Como que era como un curita a una cortada que estaba pues ya, hemorrhaging. Ya no pueden contener tanto y son las personas que a veces tuvieron muchas oportunidades y yo sé que algunos hicieron todo lo que tenían que hacer. I think there was a guy in the Times who was undocumented who made it to the Times and and was making good money, and so I think it varies, but I think overall, I don't know. It was I think a little patch. It was a little blessing in disguise, and it was a breather. Like to answer your question about was DACA like a closure? I think it was a nice resting point. You know, like where I could take a breath. I'm like, okay, I'm all right now. I can, and I think one of the best, I don't like to lie. And so the fact that I had a social security card to give to my employer and say, this is real. Like, I think I was happiest about that also. I think about not having to lie. And I think, and I think I'm only saying that because I don't like to lie. And even if you use this, so it's like, it's incriminating, but also it's a reality. Es una realidad que muchos usan y si me entiendes, y se tiene que vivir to be able to like help your parents, help yourself, pay the rent that they ask us to pay, and make things happen so we're not part of the homeless situation. Because imagínate si la gente no hiciera eso, estuvieran en las mismas calles con tantos homeless que están allá afuera. But we're not that type of people. We're the hardworking people who actually do everything we can to the point that we are part of society, that we contribute to part of society. We contribute to the Social Security pensions that are paying Americans, y eso es lo que no ven. That a lot of people back in the day when you couldn't use your TIN number, you couldn't pay taxes. A lot of those taxes were going into that Social Security pension. They say that, as Mexicans, we take so much, but it's actually, we give you guys a lot.
Yeah.
So, like you can't see it your side just because te beneficia a ti. Nosotros pagamos el dinero de tus abuelos. The pension plans of the baby boomers. And the fact that you don't give us taxes on that, you're already taking away our taxes. Plus, you're not paying us back any of the taxes that we actually gave you to pay away. So you're making a buck out of us. So no tienen que estar hablando, see. But yeah, that's my kind of wrap around it.
Okay, thank you very much for being in the interview. You